So I'm an avid fan of Apple products. I have an iPhone, a MacBook, some AirPods, and an Apple Card. Remember when that was new? So while I'm not totally entrenched in the Apple ecosystem, I am entrenched enough for it to make no sense for me to get out of the ecosystem in order to join the family of Microsoft and Google's products on the Android and Windows side respectively. Do you hear that word, ecosystem? What does that mean exactly? And how is Apple so good at maintaining this ecosystem that keeps Apple users running away from Android and Windows and staying right in their homes with Apple devices? In this video, we'll be learning about what the Apple ecosystem really is about and how it affects the entire family of Apple products and how Google's and Apple's strategies differ from each other. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first of all, what is this ecosystem? So when people refer to the ecosystem, they're usually referring to Apple's family of products and how they work so seamlessly together. For example, did you get a message from your boss at work and you're nowhere near your phone? Well, if you have your MacBook or your iPad or your Apple Watch near you, you automatically get that same message on any of those devices, even if it is an SMS or even if it's a call. Are you using your MacBook in a place with no internet at all, but you do have cellular data on your phone? Well, if you just go into the Wi-Fi settings of your MacBook or your iPad, your iPhone should automatically connect to cellular hotspot. Do you have a file on your MacBook that you need to get down to your iPhone for like an Instagram story or something like that? Well, you can just share it through AirDrop and it has no file compression whatsoever, and it sends the entire file uncompressed. These are just a few of the examples of how Apple products just work seamlessly together. AirPods automatically connect to your devices when you put them in your ears. Your Apple Watch automatically accepts calls from your phone. And your phone can access files from your MacBook through iCloud. Speaking of iCloud and Apple services in general, that brings us to our next point. Apple services, not just Apple hardware, also affect the ecosystem. The ecosystem is filled with products like Apple TV Plus or iCloud storage or even Apple Pay with Apple Card. And then that brings us to our third point, iMessage. You always hear it from anybody whenever you ask a person, why do you stay on XYZ Apple product? There is so much to love in iMessage. All your messages are connected through the internet, so you're not paying any SMS or anything like that. In group chat, you can customize the name, you can send stickers, you can send emojis, you can even send money through Apple Pay. And when you use SMS to text an Android person, even if it's just one person in the group, you lose all that customizability. You can't even change the icon or the name of the group, and you get those ugly green bubbles. iMessage is one of the best things about iOS, but it is also one of the worst things about iOS. It will be always keeping you locked in. A lot of people don't even text people with green bubbles anymore or don't even invite them to group chats. While I feel like that's a pretty silly idea to let somebody out of a group, it is a real phenomenon seen throughout the world today. So why doesn't Google do this? Google has actually been making competing resources like Google Pay, Google Photos, and even implementing RCS as an alternative to iMessage. Well, at least trying. It's not going that well. But a lot of those services are available on the App Store already for iOS users, like Google Photos and Google Pay. They are on the App Store for any iOS user with a Google account to use. Unlike Apple, which has only one app from the Apple services that can be used on Android, which is Apple Music. For Google, it actually makes sense to have these available to iOS users because their strategy is completely different from Apple. Google's strategy is to get their products in the hands of as many people as possible. Apple would rather create loyal customers than create a lot of customers. And even though Google has been trying to make their own ecosystem, it still has a long ways to go before it can rival Apple's ecosystem and start making big loyal customers who will only buy Google products. So what would happen if I left the Apple ecosystem? So let's say I, a mildly entrenched user in the Apple ecosystem, wanted to leave everything Apple and move to Google, Android, maybe OnePlus phones, and Windows PCs. Well, the first thing is my AirPods would become absolutely useless. You couldn't get all those same features that you have on iOS and those instant connections. you would only be able to use it through Bluetooth. And while, yeah, you could just get sound just fine, the experience on Android and using just Bluetooth has not been that great for many users. My Apple Card would only get 1% cashback because I couldn't use any Apple Pay. And I couldn't use any of my iCloud storage, or, the most important of all, access any of my iMessage to text my friends for anything. And that last one would be a big blow because I use iMessage for about 75% of my texting. And the cost of moving from Apple to Android would leave almost over $2,500 in just wasted materials that I bought already. So if I had a choice, would I leave the Apple ecosystem ever? No. 99.9% of the time, I probably wouldn't be leaving the Apple ecosystem. Whatever product that I would have to switch to would have to be really revolutionary and it's just its own thing of itself. Or Apple would have to gone out of business, which doesn't seem likely because Apple just hit the $2 trillion market cap, making one of the most valuable companies in the world. So while I am definitely entrenched in the Apple ecosystem, I still will refrain from some products like the HomePod, which makes no sense to me at all. Or if Apple does create a product that I don't like, I probably just won't buy it. I use Apple products because of how seamless they are together. It's not just the iPhone that is amazing by itself. It's how the iPhone interacts with my Mac, my iPad, my Apple Watch, if I had one. So time for the summary. We learned 3 things today in short. Number 1, when people refer to the Apple ecosystem, they don't just mean the Apple family of products, but they mean how seamlessly they work together. Number 2, both Apple hardware and software make a huge difference in the ecosystem. And number 3, even being mildly entrenched in the Apple ecosystem makes it a lot harder to get out and move into Android or Windows PCs. So that's all for this video. If you liked it, go ahead and give a like and give a comment, and maybe consider subscribing. Hope to see you soon. Bye!